Welcome to this Cuemby Cloud capsule. Today we are going to explore some of the services we offer in our marketplace. Specifically, we'll be discussing a technology that has been trending in recent weeks, and is definitely going to be a game changer in artificial intelligence. The technology is OpenClaw. OpenClaw is an open source framework for creating AI agents. You can use it for real-world tools, execute action, and automate entire workflows. It works with an orchestration layer where we can connect to models like GPT or Anthropic. The idea is to define the tools, manage memory, and execute different actions step by step. It's not just a chat, it's an interactive assistant where the AI performs the actions. Let's take a look at how to create an instance in Cuemby Cloud. To do this, we'll create an instance. The project will appear. Projects are simply a layer for logically dividing the resources we have in Cuemby Cloud. In this case, we choose the default project. We choose the region, which is in this case Bogota. And this is our marketplace. Here we can see different applications we have in our marketplace. Among them, of course, is OpenClaw, but we can also see various database options, ERPs, and CDNs. We even have WordPress, for example. But for now, we're going to use OpenClaw. And to run it, we only need 3 parameters: an Anthropic key, an OpenAI key, and a gateway token. In the case of OpenCloud, we can only align one of the keys from the LLM models. And what OpenClaw will do behind the scenes is that if we add a second key, it will use the other model as a fallback. That means, for example, if we run out of credit, if there's latency with the model, in a way, it's also about building resilience within our overall setup. To obtain the keys, in this case, as we mentioned, we're going to use Anthropic with the cloud models. By default, it uses Opus, but this is also completely configurable. We go to platform.cloud.com, and here we select Create a Key. And we can see that Anthropic gives us this token. We fill it in the appropriate parameter, and we're going to set a key. It will have the functionality to connect our client to the server. For this specific case, the idea is to be secure, but we're going to use Cuemby for this example. We select the machine type to resource type. It will also depend on what we want to show our agent. We go to our DX offering and we're going to choose an elastic network. Next, we can enable or disable backups depending on what we want to do with our instance. And we're going to click on Review and Deploy. And as we can see in the table, we see very transparently the service charge for this particular instance. Behind the scenes, once we've deployed it, what Cuemby Cloud will do is to install OpenClaw and perform the entire deployment for us. Once the machine is created, we can see the information that summarizes its construction. We can see the public IP address, we can see the private IP address. This may take a few minutes while our intelligent system installs OpenClaw. It's worth noting that we can also connect to the machine via SSH, or if the SSH key process was performed in the previous window, we can also connect to the machine using that method. In this case, we're using a service that can provide us with a temporary domain, which we can use as follows. This would be the IP address. We replace the periods with hyphens and end up with sslip.io. In this case, notice that OpenClaw appeared and there's some error. It says device identity required, but don't worry, right now we need to add the token that we previously assigned in Cuemby Cloud to be able to communicate. We go to Overview, click on Get Guide Token and enter our token and connect. As we can see in this case, we can already see that our connection is okay. And now we are going to integrate it with Telegram. We go to the Chat tab, and now we can interact with the models that we previously assigned. For example, I'm going to write, I want to configure Telegram. The model is currently thinking. Well, more than thinking, is generating a response. And now it tells us that in order to create a bot in Telegram, we must go to bot fodder and send it the command new bot. That bot fodder, we then go into Telegram, we add the command new bot. It asks us for a name. It's quite important that the name ends with _bot. In this case, we choose a name that more or less fits. We type Timo OC Cuemby _bot. The bot tells us that the name can be used, so we resend the message, and perfect, our bot is created. And now bot fodder tells us that we have the following token to attach to OpenClaw. We send it through the conversational chat interface, and now what we'll do is try to configure Telegram. In a few minutes, well, more like seconds, we'll be able to see that our agent is going to disconnect. In the upper right corner, we see that it says health OK, but in a little while we'll see that a disconnection will occur. This is completely normal. What happened is that in order to enable the configuration, OpenClaw restart Get Rid of Bot services. So as we can see, it appears that our bot has disconnected, and in a matter of seconds, it will automatically reconnect. Perfect. Notice that at this point, the bot's health is OK again, and it tells us that it gave us a response regarding what we sent. Now we go to Telegram, click on our bot's link and click Start. Once we click Start, it will tell us that OpenClaw doesn't yet have access configured and give us our Telegram ID and our pairing code. We're going to copy this entire message and send it directly again to the chat interface. We sent the message, and now let's notice that OpenClaw is doing by itself the configuration and the connection test between the credential we gave it at the beginning and our Telegram bot. Great. Now it tells us that everything is working correctly. Let's see if that's true. We open our bot, we write any message, for example, hello assistant. At this moment, let's look at the top, which says that our bot is typing. This is already direct communication with our LLM, in this case, Cloud. And behind the scenes, all the code who make up OpenClaw are driving the responses. I'm going to tell it, my name is Cuemby and you are Elsa AI. At the top, it says that it's typing. Let's wait a moment. Latency will also depend on the model we choose and the number of tokens the model generates. Now it gives us an answer. It says it liked the name Elsa AI and notice that there's a SOAMD file which can be configured. This, among other configurations, can be done in the advanced setting of OpenClaw. Let's do an example to see if it's capable of doing something that we would do daily. For example, I'll tell it to find the latest news on Hacker News. Hacker News is a well-known website that covers news in technology, science, and generally other interesting topics. So right now, it's going to Hacker News and getting the answer. We have 12 new items directly from Hacker News. But I can go deeper and say, regarding a certain news item, I'd like you to explore it in more depth and give me a summary or any other action we want. For example, this part, give me a summary of the 4. Let's wait a moment. Now we can see that he gave us a complete summary of the news and also gave us his link. This is how we can use OpenClaw. Cuemby Cloud, as you can see, is quite simple to use. Our instances are already optimized to support this type of software. If you want to know much more news and many more updates, follow us on Cuemby's social media and we'll be on the lookout for more capsules.